cycling might be fun. Giraffe would probably be very good at the high jump. I definitely agree with you there. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And common sense, I'm glad that you're taking a break from the Olympics and joining in on the Live at the Waterhole talking about the Olympics. I'd love to know what you've all been watching on the Olympics. I haven't had much time to keep up with the Olympics, but I did kind of follow up on the air rifle. There was in the women's division 10 meter was won by South Korea. I know the beach volleyball, Italy was definitely doing quite well in the beach volleyball, I must say. Um, and America, of course, seems to be taking the gold when it comes to gymnastics. But what caught my attention from the sporting events from the weekend was actually that Zimbabwe, the Sables, won the African Cup in rugby in Uganda this weekend, which was pretty exciting, I must say. I need to have a retake and go and watch this rugby match at someone's house and definitely have a few beers, have a braai, pretend it's the weekend all over again. Zimbabwe winning the Africa Cup. So they beat Algeria 29-3, and it is their first title since 2012. How fascinating. So I don't know if anyone else watched the rugby, or I'd love to know what your highlights of the Olympics has been so far. Anyway, this is definitely wow. Check, we've got eland here, we've got zebra, giraffe. I'm just going to have a quiet moment while we enjoy listening and watching these animals having a drink. So thank you again to our viewers that are watching and sending through comments. I see a lot of excitement here. Catherine, thanks again for joining us this week. And yes, we'll definitely do some birding, Catherine. There are some few Kenyan birds that I would love you to help me identify. I'm not too familiar on some Kenyan birds. And there's some interesting sounding birds we've heard at this dam camp right here, this Africa, and I have no idea what they were. We also had a very mysterious weaver, I think, from last week that I was not able to identify. Could have been a strange color morph I'm not familiar with. And Spas Inkov, thank you again for joining us. It's lovely to have you back watching Live at the Waterhole with us. And yes, this is a very good way to begin the show with four beautiful tall giraffe. Looks like four males, some eland through, and of course, quite a few dozen dazzling zebras to start the show. How lucky are we today, folks? So, another update from the sporting world while I wait for you to send through your comments on the Olympics and what has caught your attention. The cricket, there was also some updates on the cricket from the weekend. So it was a very big sporting weekend, I must say. A lot of sporting, very important sporting activities happening. World Cups and a lot of the Olympics was definitely very exciting. But the cricket seemed to have caught a lot of people's attention as well. So Ireland beat Zimbabwe in also in a test match by 4 wickets held in Belfast here in South Africa. So yeah, pretty exciting weekend of sport, and I'm very happy to have my country's flag flown high and have Zimbabwe feature in some big sporting events this last weekend. Rather exciting. Whoa, sorry folks, so we were having some trouble. Our camera and Aldonio seems to be giving us a little bit of a challenge, so just bear with us. But we are over back in South Africa in Tembe Elephant Park. We've got some elephant bulls having a bit of a fight. Let's see what's going to happen here, boys. They're entering the wrestling for the Olympics. What's going on, boys? Are you also trying to feature in the Olympics? Again, we're getting a lot of Olympics traffic through here today, Catherine. Yes, I was going to say the equestrian, I do follow quite a lot of the equestrian events on the Olympics if I do get a chance to watch. It's also quite interesting, the surfing, also really interesting to watch the surfing. I know a lot of New Zealanders and occasionally some South Africans who make it in the surfing division. Whoa, check out these boys. The sound of their tusks banging against each other. Oh, you got a nice sharp tusk in the bottom there. Oh, ouch. We'll carry on listening for a bit. Maybe we can hear the other bulls. Tusks clanging together as they fight one another. So, Nicola, I definitely agree with you on that one. If elephants had to enter the Olympics, I don't think they would do too well in the swimming division or the high jump. Like a giraffe would probably do pretty well in the high jump, but elephants would definitely do pretty well in the wrestling department. Yeah, so agree with you on that one. And yeah, Joanne Mello, thank you very much also for your comments, cheering for your country in the Olympics. Everyone's always very patriotic this when the Olympics comes by. Let's see what these elephants are up to. Yes, Nola, there is definitely a lot of activity going on here at Tembe. It seems to be a little. Oh, look at these boys. Bachelor party of elephant bulls here, all getting up to no good. Obviously, didn't have a busy enough weekend and they're all super busy fighting with each other, play fighting, and just getting up to nonsense. Oh, dear, look, one is slipping in the mud there. Oh, no, that's not ideal. 3 legs. Even on 3 legs, it looks like this bull has managed to be the alpha male, defeated the other bull. And this big bull right next to us is giving this eye a nice scratch. Feeding on an acacia tree here, or a vitellia. Well, he looks rather lazy, I must say. These elephant bulls here over in Timber Elephant Park have the most impressive tusks. So, Bianca, I agree with you there. These elephants are just like baboons and some other interesting animals, are definitely a full show for us and rather entertaining. So I'm just going to have a quiet moment while we listen to these bulls and see what they get up to. Oh, check out this guy near the water. He's got the most massive tusks. I'm dying to see that big bull. His tusks behind there. He's very hidden by this bull with his bottom facing us. A bit of a standoff going on. Oh wow, check those tusks. Oh my goodness. So we did have a bull here the other day. Oh, there's a Nyala. Hello guys. We did have a big elephant bull here last week that again had one very long tusk and one that was a little bit shorter. This one's tusks seem quite different to the one I was thinking of. You can see how they're not quite even. One is pointing down a little bit more. One is more angled up. This bull on the right-hand side, he has a lot more symmetrical, even tusks. So these shape, angle, and direction of the tusks, also as you can see, the shapes of their ears are very important when compiling elephant ID kits. So that's two very important features that you can use to differentiate between one elephant to the next. None of them are identical, just like with your fingerprints, they're all unique and different. Another young bull, interested to come for a drink, not up for any of this nonsense going on. So Polly is asking about tusk shape in elephants. So yes, Polly, just kind of with all elephants, it's all genes, genetics, which would determine the size and length of the tusks. Obviously nowadays, a lot of the genetics for these big tuskers that we're losing are no longer kind of in the gene pool, and that's why you're not getting as huge tuskers as we used to, although this genetics in Tembe Elephant Park seem to be quite well preserved with all these massive tuskers that we still have in Tembe, which are very, very impressive elephants. But what would also affect the length and kind of girth of a lot of elephants' tusks is also they do break their tusks from time to time. They might snap off when they are kind of debarking a tree or trying to uproot a tree or pushing a tree over could cause their tusks to break. That might cause one to be slightly shorter than another. And also sometimes they could get injuries while fighting where the actual tusk within the cavity might be dislodged a bit, and that might change also its direction. I've seen some tusks with their tusk completely spiral, like curve underneath the other tusk or just hanging down. It might have been disturbed in some way. And yeah, sometimes their tusks actually crack, and what happens if these tusks of the elephants actually crack to the point where that crack goes up into the, so they've basically got two big chambers inside the side of their face where the tusks go inside. And I know of one elephant that actually had, unfortunately, some burrowing kind of insects that burrowed their way into this poor elephant's brain. And yeah, the poor elephant ended up having to be put down because he completely lost his marbles and was turning over vehicles. So again, if you do find an elephant that has very strange, erratic, emotional behavior that can't really be explained because it's not a musk or it's not pregnant or doesn't have a baby, this can also be a cause of elephants slightly losing their marbles a little bit. It must be rather painful, I must say. It's kind of like a boring weevil larva that again will slowly make its way from the tusk cavity all the way into its brain. So we were just talking about, Caden. Thank you for sending through your question or comment. We were actually just, yeah, it's just what we were chatting about, the whole elephants getting toothache, as you would say. Yeah, shucks, it can be rather painful. So yeah, some of the trees these elephants push over, or some of the vegetation they, yeah, kind of need to destroy in order to get access to branches and leaves and food, and cause quite a damage, very big. I mean, I know palm trees that elephants bash their heads on in order to get the fruits down from the palm trees. Even while the bulls are fighting, it can cause some injuries or damage to the tusk, and yeah, you just have to and make them rather grumpy sometimes. And if a toothache is painful for us humans, imagine how painful it must be for an elephant that has one tusk that can weigh quite a few pounds. Look at these guys. What are they eating? Looks like he's just grabbed a branch that he could be feeding on the bark. Yeah, what is he eating there? So apparently, the heaviest elephant tusk that has ever been recorded was about 120 kilograms. And this was a left tusk that obviously was a lot longer than the right tusk, because maybe the right tusk for some reason got broken of some sort. But yeah, imagine a tusk weighing even 50, 60 kilograms. Quite a large tusk. I mean, your average elephant, like these bulls here that we're seeing at Tembe, their tusks are still pretty impressive, although quite narrow, long and thin. I would still put them at a set of tusks together, still weighing 30 to 40, maybe 50 kilograms. Of course, you have to remember there is quite a substantial portion of the tusk that is hidden within the cavity of the elephant's face that we don't always see. So, Mindy, that is a very good question, Mindy. So, Mindy is asking if elephants have dominant sides. So, if they have a dominant tusk and a dominant side. So, yes, I do believe that elephants are either right or left sided. And this can be displayed. I mean, a lot of people do have might disagree or have theories that it's not necessarily true. But I have seen, for example, in some elephants' tusks, so as you see on the curve of their tusks, they're close to the end of their tusk, you can actually see sometimes they actually have grooves within the tusks, and that is when they are ripping and pulling vegetation. They'll be ripping and pulling it over that one tusk, which to me signifies a side that they are more dominant in, or for example, when they are ring barking a tree or removing bark, they do sometimes have a side they might prefer, a tusk that they prefer to use, so it might be a bit more worn down. Then the other, for example, this individual, have a look on the right hand side, to me his right hand tusk might look a little bit more used than the left, or a little bit shorter. Could be right side dominant. So Joanne Miller, yes, unfortunately that parasite that burrows into the elephant's brain is rather painful, I must say. Shame they must go through quite a lot of pain. Imagine having something burrowing into your head. But it's not just with elephants. Lesbok and wildebeest, blue and black wildebeest, do also have some sort of a mite parasite that burrows into their brains. I think it actually comes from the bagworm. So there's a species of insect called a bagworm. Generally make a quite interesting cocoon on invasive materials, invasive plants. Oh, there's a Nyala bull over here. Yeah, so this bagworm then creates its cocoon on these invasive plants or weeds. And when you have your antelope coming along grazing, it then manages to attach itself to their fur and into their brain at times. With the blessbok, it's through these openings on the front of their face where they have glands. With the wildebeest, again, they do have some glands on their face which might be accessible, or even through the ears. Shame. I don't think in antelope it's as can be as dangerous as with elephants, but I know it definitely irritates them because in some areas, if you ever see a blessbok standing around just shaking his head like he's lost the plot, then you know that he might have some parasites snuggling into his brain. While we are in this beautiful location here on Tembe Elephant Park in South Africa, let's just enjoy the wild sounds of nature and everything that's happening around us. I hope you've all had the most fabulous weekend. I hope it wasn't too busy and that your Monday is starting off with a bang. Let's have a quiet moment and just enjoy the lovely sounds of nature as we take you into this next week. This elephant ball is having the best Monday. Seems like his trunk is a little bit too heavy for him at the moment, so he's just resting on his tusks, wondering what is he going to do with the rest of his day. You see on this elephant's trunk, it actually looks like there's a slight bit of pink on the tip of his trunk there. So it's just kind of a melanin within the skin, so it's just a bit of a different color. I've actually seen elephants in West Africa with completely pink trunks, and even I saw one female that had some pink coloration on the face. So again, it's just as we were talking about last week with leopards and recessive genes, it's kind of the recessive gene. I know it's a lot more common in Indian elephants than it is in our African elephants. But, yeah, quite a cute little pink patch there. So we did get a question, good question from one of our viewers. Zulu is asking about, can animals get lice? Have a look at that little pig. There's also a African jacana. Let's just walk behind there. So yes, Zulu, antelope can get lice, and in some species there's actually quite a terrible louse species called a mange. So this lice causes a lot of irritation, and the fur ends up falling out or causes irritation to the point where the animal actually rubs and scratches themselves a lot, and they lose their fur. Look at this boy. He's just like, his trunk is just too much for me today. Luckily, he has very long tusks and he can actually rest his trunk like that. It really amazes me, all these elephants at Tembe, how impressive their tusks are. I must go back for a visit sometime soon. Has anybody else of our viewers ever been to Tembe? I'd like to know what else our viewers have seen at Tembe, if you've had any leopard sightings. I think my visit to Tembe, we saw leopard tracks and briefly saw a lion. Otherwise, just a lot of elephants, palm trees, some beautiful kudu and a nyala. But I'd definitely love to go back to Tembe, try to get some more pictures. Incredible tuskers that they have in Tembe. Well, anyways, folks, Tembe has been great, but let's head over to Rosie's Pan and see what activity we can find at Rosie's Pan. Oh, wow. It's very, very active here today at Rosie's Pan. This looks like we have a buffalo pool party today. Oh my goodness, this looks like quite a large buffalo herd. I'm not even going to attempt to count here because this is a lot of buffalo. Good male taking this out there. Probably with, wow, over 30, 40, 50 buffalo all in this pan. It must be a rather hot day, shame. They probably traveled really far, walked all day, all morning, over many, many kilometers to get this watering spot, and they are definitely taking full advantage. It's been quite a while since I've seen a buffalo pool party. We had a few elephant pool parties last week. I'm really loving this buffalo pool party. Why don't we just have a quiet moment and we'll just have a listen to all the sounds of these buffalo. This is actually crazy to see so many buffalo in such a small pan. Definitely must be happy now at this pan that they got. So during the dry season, the smaller herds of buffalo will all kind of join together in one giant conglomerate herd of sometimes up to 3, 4, 500 individuals. I mean, even in northern parts of Africa, you even get up to a few thousand in a herd in Kenya, Tanzania. And yeah, it's really impressive to see such large numbers of buffalo all together. Of course, in the dire, desperate times, it creates a safety blanket, especially with a lot of females that might be carrying calves or have just given birth to calves. But well, I must say this is rather entertaining to watch. There's a lot happening here, a lot of females, but also interesting to see quite a lot of big bulls, some babies in there. They're all just having the best time. Every now and then you get one or two individuals checking out the camera like, hey, are you watching? Who's watching over there? So Candace, thank you for joining us today, and this is definitely a really great way to start off our week. Our cameras seem to be firing on all cylinders. Everything is happening. All the locations here so far have been very busy and active. We'll take these two big balls checking us out. What's happening over there? Catherine, I definitely agree with you as well. There's so many places in South Africa that I'm sure you will have on your bucket list to travel to. There's so many places in your own country sometimes to travel that you forget about the rest of the world. And what you can see in the middle there's a old cow or female buffalo, completely submerged, just her head sticking up. And Molly, yes, this is a very impressive herd. Buffalo, Cape Buffalo. And I am also very surprised at how many individuals are all able to fit into this pan. They do need to be careful, because if you have a look, some of these individuals have very long, sharp, pointy horns that can very easily give you a nasty puncture wound. Buffalo is definitely something I would not want to have chasing me up on a walk. Those horns, once they get into your thigh or your leg, which is generally the case, that's nasty ending. Nasty ending. I know an anti-poaching ranger who almost lost his life to a buffalo. I mean, of course, buffalo is one of the big five, and they do kill a lot of people every year. They're known for being notoriously aggressive. This one park's ranger, his life was literally saved by his backpack, because as he was climbing up the tree, which the buffalo was attacking aggressively and going to get him out of the tree, his backpack, the ranger's backpack, fell on the buffalo's head, blinding the poor buffalo. He was not able to see and distracted the buffalo for long enough that this national park's ranger managed to climb down from the tree, find a more steady tree to climb, and was literally saved by his bag. Within time, the backpack fell off the buffalo, and by then had no idea which way was up and down, and forgot why he was chasing something in the first place. Yes, definitely got to watch out for those horns of the buffalo. Look at all these buffalo. How amazing is that? Lots of youngsters in there. Interesting question. Justice is asking if birds ever get injured from sitting on buffalo. So yes, you can hear right now there are a lot of oxpeckers that have obviously come along with this buffalo herd. So oxpeckers are a very good indicator of a big mammal. So when you're on a walking safari in the bush, it might be a bit thick, don't have good visibility. These oxpeckers are definitely something to keep an eye out for. If they take off from behind a bush, you know, they can also be on warthogs. You never know, but always rather be safe than sorry. There might be a big buffalo bull lying within the bush that you can't see. Um, Occasionally, I would guess every now and then. I mean, they are quite agile. You can see the obstacles on this buffalo here. So they will be quite agile. Generally, stay on the back of the place kind of post that they are feeding on. Cattle egrets every now and then, I'm sure, might get bumped around and pushed around here and there by buffalo and other big mammals that cattle egrets might be hoping to get a free meal from. So the cattle egrets often you'll see them at kind of walking on the ground when buffaloes are moving through a very thick grassed area or open plains, and they're hoping to pick up on any insects that might be disturbed in the grass. There is such a large herd of buffalo. So we've got Jordan with us today, and she says that she's never seen such a large herd of buffalo here at Rosie's Pan. But obviously, with the dry season being upon us, you can see the area around these buffalo is very dry. Not much rain has fallen recently, and the watering holes and water sources are getting more sparse and less and less. So animals have to walk further and further in order to find water during this time of the year, during the dry season. So we did get a question about buffalo social structures. So of course, buffalo are bulk grazers and do need to drink daily at least once or twice a day. So these buffalo from this watering hole will then have to try and walk quite a great distance in order to find some nice open flays or areas that they are able to feed themselves as they need the grass in these open areas. And their social structures are mostly matriarchal. But of course, they do have some bulls that will join the herd for safety and for breeding purposes. So, how I kind of see it is females, the older females, seem to lead the breeding herd, and then the bulls seem to be, again, the females will mostly use the bulls for protection at the back. So, big herd like this, you've seen quite a large number of bulls here already. And once this herd leaves the pan, the bulls will generally follow up from behind and be kind of a barrier of protection for the buffalo. And then, of course, once the buffalo bulls become too old to be of any use in the herd, once they kind of become the we're talking about buffalo social structure and where the bulls fit in. So once the buffalo bulls that are in the herd, that are in their prime, once they kind of start to become too old to fulfill their duties, or maybe even become a safety risk from the herd, they're possibly not able to keep up, then they will be kicked out of the herd, and that is when they start their bachelor life on their own. You will find smaller bachelor herds. It can be anything up to from 1 or 2 individuals all the way up to 5 or 6 or even 10 buffalo bachelor bulls that might all join together. Again, there's always safety in numbers, which is very important, especially when you have hungry lions around, hyenas. Oh, talking about hyenas, there was a pretty epic sighting this weekend in Kruger National Park of a leopard that actually killed a hyena, which just popped up on my phone. I was like, what? I thought there's no way this is possible. And yeah, it was a really awesome video that was recorded of a leopard at the base of a tree trying to jump up into the tree with this hyena that he had managed to kill. So again, just when you think you know everything about wildlife, the strangest things happen. Shame these poor buffalo. They must be rather thirsty. Spending so much time here. I must say, I would not ever want to come back as a buffalo as my spirit animal because, yeah, as you can see, these buffalo are standing in the watering hole, probably defecating and urinating in the same place they're drinking. So, buffalo is not going to be my first pick for a spirit animal. Neither is wild dog, actually. We, if I think about it, because I've seen wild dog doing the exact same thing on Juma, not appealing at all. While we're here enjoying this incredible sighting, I think we'll just have a little bit of a quiet moment to just watch these wildebeest, these buffaloes, sorry, and just yeah, buffalo pool party. You don't see that every day. question about what would be the most abundant animal species, antelope species, be in Africa? Very good question there. And it was between, of course, the question came through between buffalo, wildebeest, and impala. What would the most abundant species be in Africa? I'd have to say I did a bit of research and some Googling quickly, and I think it would have to be location specific. So, of course, in Kruger National Park, they do specify that the impala is the most abundant species, and within most regions within sub-Saharan Africa, impala is, of course, the most common antelope. And research actually shows that the impala have actually remained unchanged for at least 5 million years. And this could be the reason that impala are so widespread and so common in so many different areas, because they have adapted themselves to be able to survive in any kind of environment. But then my number two guess would probably go to the wildebeest, due to the millions of wildebeest that you get in the migration. But again, you do also get a lot of buffalo as well in Kenya and Tanzania. But I would definitely go within southern Africa. I would go for impala, and within kind of the more central eastern parts of Africa, I definitely then go with the wildebeest. These very curious females here, checking out the camera. Big bull on the right. You find with buffalo colorations, the females generally tend to be a bit more of a lighter brown in color, and generally the males will be a lot more black in color. But of course, the older the individuals get, the more they start to lose their fur, and of course, the buffalo skin underneath the slight layer of fluff that they have is black too. So you can get older females or even younger females that might be slightly more black. But yeah, shame, poor buffalo. Once they get older, they lose all their fur. And yeah, some of the buffalo bulls I've seen are not the most attractive creatures. Shame. The worst buffalo bull I think I've ever seen. He only had one stump of a horn left. His ears were kind of, beaten. His whole body was beaten, battered. He had injuries and lumps and bumps all over his body, and his poor ears were being picked away by ox pickers. And he did not look so great. Look at these two little youngsters here, wondering, which way do we go? What's happening? See, more oxpecker on the back of this female here. So again, this is a very good example of a female buffalo. The difference between male and female is in that boss at the base of their head there. So you can see with the female, it's a little bit more splayed apart in the middle. Doesn't have as such a big lump in the center. So the male on the left, it's actually completely joined together, a lot bigger, and of course their horns, males generally have much bigger and longer horns as well. This is a younger male on the left hand side there, and when they're young, their bosses are also more smooth. So we're talking about buffalo and the difference between males and females and their bosses. So the males, when you find younger males, their bosses are generally still very puffy and a bit smooth, as if someone just stuck a straw in the side there and blew it up. And then the older they get, the more kind of ridges and ripples they then develop on their boss. Their horns can break off, and obviously they do grow back just like elephants' tusks. They're not like antelope, your deer and antelope in America, for example, that have antlers that are shed per season. I'd actually love to see like an elk or a deer. I find it quite funny to think of a male deer or elk of some sort that doesn't have horns during the non-breeding season. It looks quite weird. Imagine seeing a male buffalo without horns. Strange sight, I must say. Nona, thank you for your comment about the leopard. So would leopard ever attempt to hunt buffalo? So the biggest predator of the Cape buffalo would most likely probably go to the lion. So lion, obviously, they're a lot bigger build, a lot more designed to hunt buffalo, especially the young ones or any individuals that might be kind of separated from the herd. Wild dog also very good at hunting buffalo, but again they hunt in a pack formation, try to separate youngsters and babies from the group, um, tire them out. Leopard, I wouldn't. Again, I wouldn't put it past them, but leopards' kind of main prey species is generally your more solitary, less dangerous animals. For example, impala, bushbuck, your smaller duikers, and recently added to my list is now hyena. Very interesting to think of a leopard killing and eating a hyena, I must say, in the Kruger National Park this last weekend. That couldn't have been the best meal that he's ever had, though. Leopards are also very much skilled in hunting waterbuck. So we're talking about leopard and their prey species. So I know leopard, I've had in a few camps I've worked in, leopard killing waterbuck. But unfortunately, waterbuck have a terrible smell in their skin that makes them not so tasteful. The leopard came back for 3 days in a row to eat it, but I must say it didn't look like the leopard was enjoying it that much. It's kind of like how ducks have an oil preening gland. Waterbuck also have this oily liquid on their fur in order to keep them waterproof and protect their fur, and it gives them a rather stanky, stinky smell. So Millie, yes, waterbuck would definitely fight each other in the waterfall spots, especially big bulls chasing off younger bulls or other bulls that are possibly not as dominant. But they're quite, how do you say, ah, buffalo, they're large bodies, just like elephants. They're quite large and cumbersome. So they can be bullies at times. They just push each other out the way when need be. So when generally you hear that very cow-like grunting sound, like ah, you know, when one buffalo has pushed another buffalo, he's not too happy about that. These buffalo shame. What are they looking for? While we're on the topic of leopards, so just a bit of an update from our locations from this last weekend. It seems like Shidulu was actually seen recently at Juma, so really exciting to see the leopard Shidulu with Maxine and Panda. I've seen yesterday. Seemed like he had found himself a nice little termite mound to chill on Shidulu. Sorry about the quick switch across to Okukuyu here in Etosha, folks. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty with our camera there. So we are back over in Etosha, in Namibia. This was where we had some rather large pool parties last week. Round about this time, our last pool party, I think on Friday, man, there must have been at least 60 to 70 elephants in this pan. I guess they found another location to have their pool party at today. Nice to see the springbok. Shame there was also a few springboks that came for a swim last week, and yeah, the elephants were not too chuffed to share their watering hole with the springbok, so a few of them got chased out of the water. Poor things, they just wanted to cool off. But yeah, elephants can be quite, what's the word? They're not the best at sharing, I guess you can say. So we were just having a little bit of an update from our location. So we're excited about Shidulu and Juma. That was on a termite mound, just kind of chilling and sunning. I think it was, yeah, yesterday on one of the safaris. So very exciting about that to see Shidulu again. And we also had the Plains Camp males with Liam that were also, well, I think I only saw an image of one male that was just enjoying the morning sunshine, enjoying that golden light. Pretty impressive mane he had. A lot of few injuries and scars on his face. So yeah, shame. Obviously, often when male lions are fighting like that, they do get quite a lot of injuries. And then on the lion front at Mabula, Andy, Amy, and Cam also had some pretty cool sightings of some cute little lion cubs also playing in a little thicket, probably waiting for their mother to come and bring them lunch or breakfast. But those were quite adorable photos. You could just see the lions kind of hidden in the thicket, but just every now and then a little head was poking out. So really nice sighting there with Amy and Cam. And over at Amakala, they had some baby buffalo yesterday with Eric and Morgan. Very cute little baby black buffalo. Yeah, Amakala's still looking really nice, still looking a bit green. Obviously a lot more green than Etosha's looking right now. And yeah, still a bit of vegetation, so it's a good thing for those little baby buffaloes. So at least their mothers will still be able to feed them in this dry season coming. So very nice to see a little buffalo over in Amakala. All right. So, seeing as there's not much activity here in Etosha, maybe later, let's head back over to Oldonyo in Kenya and see what is happening there. Oh, wow. Hello, welcome back to Oldonyo here in Kenya. And wow, how many giraffe do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 giraffe, some eland in the background there, and look at all these zebra. Sharks, it's just teeming with life and activity everywhere today. We're still getting through some comments. I think everyone was rather excited about the buffalo. I was also excited to see so many buffalo in one pan. And Sandra, yes, buffaloes are definitely tanks, weighing in at anything from a female about 300 to 400 kilograms, and a big bull buffalo can weigh anything from about 8 to 900 kilograms. I think the buffalo they're thinking of that are weighing more 900 kilograms more in probably East Africa. I know one of the records in South Africa, record weight of a buffalo was about 800 kilograms. That's a rather large animal to be following you. They call them the black devils of the bush because those buffalo, the old grumpy bulls seem to have a problem with humans. And breeding herds generally not a huge concern or a worry because they generally just stay together, and the females, once they get spooked, they just run away with their little ones. But it's those big old bulls, grumpy old boys, hiding in an acacia thicket, waiting for you. She saw a recent video of a buffalo that, yeah, had stalked these uh, clients that were on a walk, and as soon as they came around from the thicket, this buffalo from nowhere, like he had been waiting for them, just launched out at them from nowhere. Look at these zebra; they are having the best time here. So this is probably, I know in a lot of areas, a lot of the zebra are kind of joining together to form the migrations in certain parts of Africa. I know when I was in Botswana last month, it's probably like 5, 6 weeks ago now, near Nata, we were seeing a lot of bigger zebra herds kind of gathering together and starting to make their way to the Mahadi pans. So it could be a larger group of zebra forming together as part of the migration, or again, it could be in most cases is sometimes 2 or 3 harems actually come together to drink this watering hole. So, Gillian, thank you for your question and comment. I hope that some of that was already possibly answered in my previous story about the migration and a lot of herds forming together. But yeah, during the non migratory season, the zebra herds will generally stick to their smaller units. Um, Most herd sizes I've seen are generally anything from 3 to 6 individuals. Anything more than that starts to become a little bit much for one stallion to protect. Because remember, they're kind of like pirates. I love zebra. They're social, kind of like the males are kind of like pirates in the way of when a stallion becomes big and strong enough to try to fight for his own females, he will go and challenge a stallion with his own herd and try to steal some females away from him. So, similar social structure to that of gorillas. Gorillas also, the males, silverbacks, will try to fragment a group of gorillas in order to steal some females away. So yeah, I'd definitely say this is not one herd. And zebra herds don't always, normally a lot smaller. Again, during the dry season, migration time, there is definitely do form larger groups, which is rather dangerous, I must say, and not something I would ever want to be around. Because if you think of if you have more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 15 or 20 horses all in one paddock, how much politics takes place. Oh, goodness gracious me, it's not somewhere you want to be. They can be quite aggressive, lots of biting and kicking takes place. So generally, the migratory period or time of year is generally around from July to November. Again, kind of the winter, heading into the dry season before the rains. That's when large conglomerations of wildebeest and obviously zebra as well will start forming in huge masses, especially like in Kenya and Botswana, through the Masai Mara, and that's when, of course, I'm sure many people are very, yeah, it's very popular to go and watch this crossing of the migration through the Mara River in Kenya. There seems like a lot of giraffe bulls here. So there's 2 females here. Well, these are 3 females, but earlier there were quite a large number of bulls that were around. Male giraffe, and it seemed like there was one female that could have been in season. All right, well, let's go back to Rosie's pan and see if our buffalo are still waiting for us. Seems as our zebra have cleared out very quickly. Oh, what's happening here? Do we have a duel between an elephant and a buffalo? Let's see what's going to happen here. Young elephant bull versus young buffalo bull. The elephant decided, he's not up for this nonsense on a Monday. Enough to deal with on a Monday, let alone a grumpy buffalo bull taking up his watering hole. And minutes ago, this is the exact place where we had between 30 to 50 buffalo, and now they've just disappeared. 2 days left behind. Just like that. Isn't that crazy? Just as I mentioned, there'll be obviously a few buffalo bulls the herd bulls, which will be within the herd following at the back. There'll be a few that are maybe not the first line, maybe not the second line, but maybe the third line of bulls at the back that's just following away. Maybe haven't quite been accepted into the herd. A nice young elephant bull also here to have a nice midday drink on this Monday morning. Definitely a battle of the beast when it comes to elephants and buffalo having a bit of a fight, because they're both two big mammals at the top of the kind of, yeah, the heavyweight class. But yeah, I would not, as a buffalo, want to take on an elephant because, yeah, all those tusks can cause a lot more damage, and of course, elephants have a lot more weight to throw around. But of course, if you're into wrestling, it's kind of the same as watching, yeah, I don't know, or your top, like Conor McGregor and any of his challengers that might be, again, heavier than him, but not as quick. So the buffalo might be quick, but again, nothing compares to the weight. I think it was in Etosha where there was a video of a black rhino challenging an elephant. And unfortunately, I don't know what got into this rhino's mind, but he decided to take on an elephant. This was a couple of years ago, I'm not quite sure when. And this rhino decided to take on an elephant, and he came to a very sad ending when this elephant was, one, very surprised at first, but this buffalo was brave enough. What's happening? What's happening? The elephant was giving him a piece of his mind. So anyway, this poor rhino ended up getting stabbed by the elephant a couple of times, and I don't think he ever did that again. Should we say that? What's this? I wonder if he's going to go and chase these other buffalo on the other side there. So sometimes elephant bulls can be a little bit too testosterone filled and up to nonsense, and yeah, they'll definitely chase a buffalo here and there. And as we've seen with the pan at Oldonyo, shame as that pan gets smaller and smaller, elephants definitely become more and more protective of the water and not too happy to share with other animals around. Buffalo here is enjoying feeding on the nice green reeds, soft vegetation near the water here. So as our elephant leaves, I don't think there's too much happening here. So why don't we head back to Aldonio and see what's happening with our giraffe? Welcome back to Aldonio over in Kenya, everyone. Shame this watering hole over the last couple of weeks has been drying up quite a bit, I must say. Yeah, so you see the giraffe having to get into the water to have a bit of a better drink. So this looks like 4 females here. There was 1 or 2 bulls earlier that was very suspiciously following one of the ladies around. So there could be a female giraffe here that might be in season, meaning that she is probably ovulating or getting ready to be impregnated by one of the males. And shame, it's not the easiest job for a male giraffe to win the affection of a female. He will persistently follow her for days and days on end until she finally gives in, if she decides that he is a acceptable match. And how the male giraffe tests to see if the female is ready for mating is he will actually, yeah, it's not the most pleasant thought. He'll actually, yeah, follow her and, yeah, drink her, kind of like test her urine. So he'll wait for her and test her urine so that he can actually determine whether she is ready for breeding. And then once she is now pregnant, then a female giraffe, which this one on the left looks like she's quite nice and round, is 15 months. By then, after this period, she gives birth to a little baby giraffe, which even at birth can weigh anything from about 50 to 65 kilograms. So it's like about 130, 140 pounds. And the baby is born while she is standing, and this is how the baby gets its first breath of life when it thuds onto the ground and can take its first breath. So newborn baby giraffe, they grow very quickly, and this is in order to evade predators. Obviously, the little baby giraffe is going to be targeted by a lot of predators, including mostly lions. So, yeah, in its first 5 years, it can grow almost double its height within the first 5 years of giraffe's life. And the height of a female giraffe, the ones we're looking at right now, can be anything from about 16 to 18 feet or 4 to 5 meters tall. And they can weigh anything from about 4,000 to 4,000 to 300 pounds. So that's between 1,500 and almost 2,000 kilograms. Isn't that crazy to think about it? Having a nice drink there. So we got an interesting question earlier about elephants and if they can actually suck up any fish or frogs while drinking. And I wouldn't be surprised, but they probably might not be too happy with that. I have seen an elephant once put water into from its trunk into its mouth, and most of it end up coming like squirted out its mouth anyway, so maybe it decided either the water wasn't too clean or maybe it got a foreign object it was not expecting. So that does happen. They might just release the water from their mouths if there's kind of any foreign objects that's distasteful to them. So let's head back over to Tembe, where I believe we have some elephants waiting for us. Welcome back to Tembe Elephant Park in South Africa, everyone, in Maputo land. We have some elephant bulls down here. Come for a nice midday drink. This looks like some Egyptian geese have also joined us down by the watering hole there, and an elephant bull having a mud bath on the left there. There's also, as you can see around this pan or watering hole, there's a lot of depressions which are mineral rich, where elephants would spend a lot of their time digging for minerals. Some impala joining us over there. Fork-tailed drongo, is it in the tree? Yep, fork-tailed drongo there. Waiting to swoop up and snatch some insects that might be disturbed. Thank you for your comments, Kim and Luna. Yes, we have had a lot of luck on our cameras today. It has been really quite exciting and entertaining. Ordonio and Rosie's pan definitely taking the cake with all the buffalo activity. And of course, Ordonio, a lot of zebra today. Actually, probably one of my busiest zebra days today, which makes me rather excited because when I'm going to be coming back live on the safaris end of August next month, I am definitely going to be bringing my lucky zebra socks and my little lucky zebra mascot with me, and hopefully that will bring me a lot of luck and many amazing sightings. My lucky zebra socks and my zebra mascot. And yes, Luna, I will agree with you there. It is sometimes just nice just watching wildlife minding their own business and getting up to their own nonsense, of course. Look at these elephants. One is, again, a lot of lazy trunk. A lot of lazy trunks today. A few female impala coming to join us. It's other bulls' turn to enjoy this. He could either be a mud wallow or Sodak area. See, he'll use his leg to kind of scrape away at this area and then stick his trunk into the hole and soak up the mineral rich soils. Yep. So while we are watching this elephant, I have an interesting fact for you. So I don't know if any of you are Chappies fans, but Chappies tweets. I'm a big Chappies fan, and especially during COVID, I would play this game with my friends, the Did You Know game, where we would just sit and eat Chappies. And since that experience, I have very much loved my fun facts and the Did You Knows. So A interesting did you know fact for the day is I don't know if anyone heard about the baby mammoth that has recently been discovered. So it was actually discovered in Yukon by a gold miner, and this baby mammoth is recorded to be anything from about 30 to 35 years old. And obviously, it was preserved in some permafrost, which has thus melted away and then been discovered, which is only the second specimen that has ever been found in the world. A baby mammoth. I would definitely suggest having a Google. Go have a look at the pictures. There are some pictures they've released of it. Um, Obviously, this is quite a huge break in, yeah, kind of the archaeological world. So we're going to be able to hopefully extract some DNA and use parts of this, preserve this little baby mammoth, which, it's not the most attractive looking creature, but very, very exciting. So the first baby mammoth that was discovered in 2022, the name was No Choga, and that was actually the first specimen found. So there's only ever been two specimens of baby mammoths found, and the first one was found also in Yukon near Dawson City. Everyone knows where that is. And then, of course, the second one, it's also found in North America. So really exciting. So, of course, that made me think about the mammoths. I know they were trying to reconstruct a mammoth by DNA. And so I did do a bit of research on that. Unfortunately, they are still busy working on that. Who knows? One day maybe we might have a full reconstruction, actually, DNA to be able to actually procreate a mammoth, which would be pretty epic, I must say. Although one does wonder, our environmental conditions nowadays might not be cold enough for a mammoth to actually survive. But with this discovery of the new baby mammoth, that might help this research in leaps and bounds. And hey, who knows what might happen anytime soon. So that was my pretty interesting fun fact of the weekend, my did you know. So if anyone else has any interesting did you know fun facts, please feel free to send them through. I must say this year seems to have been quite a fruitful year for the paleontology or almost archaeological kind of sector. Seems like they're finding a lot of interesting mummies and even a whole entire village somewhere in South America or in Brazil that was recently discovered that they're busy exhuming at the moment. So a lot of interesting discoveries coming up this year in the archaeological world. So rather exciting. So I would definitely recommend, if you ever want to see a baby mammoth that has been discovered 30 to 35,000 years old, go and give it a Google. It will pop up right there. There's a couple of pictures, rather interesting news from this last weekend as well, besides all of the sporting activities that were taking place. Let's just enjoy watching the impala. Oh dear, what's happened there? It seems like something has frightened these corniola. Anyway, seems like I don't have too much happening here, so oops, there's an elephant popping out of the bushes over there. And gave them quite a fright. Anyway, let's head over to Oldonyo and see what is waiting for us there in Kenya. Oh dear, welcome back, everyone. We are back in Oldonyo, Kenya. And I must say, this watering hole has changed quite drastically since the beginning of the show. We first had dazzle of zebra everywhere, giraffe, and now we have some elephant bulls that have come down for a drink. And just as we were talking about, you can see this big bull closest to us on the left. He's got quite an uneven broken tusk, probably from feeding purposes. So as we were talking about the tusks and how elephants use them as tools, also have a look at the elephant's tusk on the far left, and you'll see there's kind of different angle to the end of his tusk. I always have a look for any grooves that again might have been used while feeding. It's quite interesting to see how they shape their tusks depending on how they feed. So I love jumping between the elephants in Oldonyo and the elephants in Tembe, because you can obviously see, and also actually in Etosha and Mukokuyu, because you can see between the three different locations how differently kind of length and size the tusks are. So obviously over in Tembe, there's a lot of mineral rich soils in that area. And the elephants have a very long, slender tusks that are generally in quite good condition. Then here in Oldonyo, a lot of elephants still have some pretty big tuskers. Their tusks seem to be a lot more worn and maybe a bit more brittle, break a bit easier, maybe not as many minerals. And then if we head all the way to Etosha, in Ukukuyu, those elephants there, due to the very poor mineral level in the soil, the elephants have very short, stumpy tusks over in Etosha in Namibia. Really interesting to think about it, how their tusk length and shape varies depending on the area that they're in, and also the mineral level that is consumed by these magnificent beasts. So Venus, very good question. So Venus's question was, will elephants diet depending on their location? So Venus, I don't think it's necessarily diet. Just like all species, elephants will kind of adapt and change the food that they eat depending on the area they're in and depending on the time of year. So, like now, it's a dry season, and in a lot of regions, it's actually a drought this year. So, it's going to be a real struggle for these elephants to find enough food. But what they will do is, again, in areas where they're not able to find food, they'll try and obviously need to move as much as possible to find food. And if they don't find the food that they're looking for, then unfortunately, elephants will start impacting trees and what we call ring barking or stripping trees of their bark in order to get enough food to feed themselves, but unfortunately, in some cases, ends up killing a lot of these big trees. And this is another bachelor herd of elephant bulls that are probably traveled quite a great distance to get here today and be with us, visit this watering hole. And they're not going to leave without having a decent bit of a bath. Chicken and he's having the best time. So, see, in times when it's really hot, they'll take that water and try to get it behind the ears, in between the legs. Obviously, the ears are very important. You can see this elephant on the right-hand side. So, elephants' ears are very important in the cooling system. They help to cool them down. So when they're trying to quickly cool their bodies down, they splash water behind their ears. So let's have a listen to these elephants drinking. Check at these guys having a nice drink. That's what's going on with their wrinkly skin. The elephant skin can be quite thick, and that's what does help to protect them. Injured, especially by thorns, any nasty objects that they could come across. So their skin can be anything from about 2 to 3 centimeters thick. This guy giving himself a nice scratch. And as you can see, it is very wrinkled. The feet of theirs, quite a nice example here. You can see back feet are very oval in shape. Front feet are very rounded. And that is because they carry a lot more weight, obviously, in their front quarters with their head and trunk, as opposed to their back. So if you're ever tracking and trying to decide if is that the front foot of an elephant that just came through my campsite, or was that the back foot that was resting on my car? The front foot is rounded, just like you can see here on the left-hand side, or on the side of the pan here. Back foot, very round, sorry, very oval in shape. Front foot, very round. Quite interesting fact about elephants and their feet. So a good way to tell the difference between a savanna elephant and a forest elephant. So savanna elephants obviously have four toes or nails that you can see on the front feet, and only 3 toes or nails on the back foot, which is quite nicely displayed here. And with forest elephants actually have 5 toes on their front feet and 4 toes on their back feet. And when I say toes, I mean the nails. It's quite an interesting about the toes or the nails of the elephants. Quite a good way to tell the difference. Of course, you'll never find a savanna elephant in the jungle, but yeah, it's quite a good differentiating feature. And have a look at this bull here on the far left. He's actually missing his tusk. Again, you do get tuskless elephants. It is a gene that can be passed on from one generation to the next, which always are a lot more tuskless elephants than tuskers. So obviously, a lot of the big tuskers are no longer with us. That's why we do find a lot more tuskless individuals, but also they could have at a later stage in their life due to some injury, kind of falling out or being dislodged from the tusk cavity. Check these big boys. Isn't this just the most magical sighting to have on a Monday? What a view. What a view. In Kenya or Tanzania. Massive, gentle giants. So just another kind of point, Venus, if you're still watching, about the question you asked about elephants and their diet and locations. So a lot of studies are showing in recent years that elephants are actually feeding on a lot of vegetation that they would not normally feed on. Again, this can be a sign of kind of habitat loss and elephants not having an option but to eat specific foods that they no longer were not previously recorded feeding on. And again, this might in the beginning make some elephants a little bit sickly, but again, some elephants would actually become adapted to feeding on different kind of vegetation that they're not usually known for eating. And again, that's how kind of evolution works. Everything becomes more adapted to living and feeding in different environments in a different location. These are two very beautiful specimens of our Kenyan elephants. Oh, there's actually another tuskless elephant bull there. Very, very fascinating. Check how big these elephants are. I feel like this is quite a big stubby guy. Not the tallest elephant, but quite large in size. Again, missing one tusk on the right-hand side. Let's have a listen to him squirting the water into his mouth. Shame, I've also heard some elephants. Okay, let's have a listen. What he's going to do now. Oh, he is loving that water. That long day, just desperate for a cup of coffee or just a fresh drink of water after a long run. So, Julie, just to answer your question, yes, this is probably a group of bachelor bulls. These are all males that are with us. And yeah, again, just like we were talking about with the buffalo, you do get bachelor herds of, again, sometimes bulls, you'll see elephant bulls by themselves, but occasionally you'll find they form very kind of loose relationships with other bulls. Sometimes they hang out in twos or threes, anything up to 10, 15 bulls I've seen all together in one kind of area feeding together, as long as kind of a chain of hierarchy is followed and everybody knows where their place is, then there's happiness in the land. And as soon as someone steps out of line and thinks he is bigger and stronger than the next, then yeah, there'll be a little bit of unhappiness in the land until they sort out their dominance issues. But also, it's good to have these groups because they'll generally sometimes adopt younger bulls that might have just been kicked out of their breeding herd. And this forms, yeah, a bit of protection for those younger bulls and also, yeah, helps them learn and grow, become a big bull. And you'll see them often challenging and fighting each other, just challenging or play fighting with each other. And that also kind of helps in their development. It's very crucial. And again, to answer your question, Moana, yeah, some generally they'll travel together. So I know, especially around camps, you sometimes get bulls that will always be together. There's always the like the three musketeers feel like, yeah, a lot of elephant groups that terrorize camps are generally in twos, threes, or fours. Little group of bulls that kind of have a common interest for getting up to nonsense. But yeah, if one bull feels like going this way and the other group is going that way, then they'll generally can split off. The bigger the bulls are, the more kind of confident they are to be kind of solitary, whereas the younger bulls will kind of be a bit more inclined to stay with the big bulls. And look what we have here. It's an oryx, folks. Oh my goodness, how lucky are we to see an oryx come down to the watering hole? I don't know if these elephants are going to let him have a drink though, so we'll be lucky if he gets any closer. I wonder if that oryx is going to be given some access to this watering hole. Super excited to see some oryx here in Kenya, Oldonyo. Some zebra are coming back, and the giraffe are probably also waiting to have a drink. Whether these elephant bulls will let them come through is a question. So we have our elephants here. There's a couple of zebra and some giraffe that I know are coming through and probably super keen to have a drink. So they'll be lucky if the elephants let them drink. With the shrinking size of this little pan, it doesn't give much space for big elephant bulls to share. But oh wow, check out this oryx, everyone. Oh my goodness. It's not just one, it looks like a whole herd of them. Oh my goodness. Definitely an epic sighting, I must say. Just going to be quiet for a moment, folks, while we enjoy this sighting. I must say I'm super excited to see oryx at this pan here at Oldonyo. This is a really epic sighting, so let's just enjoy it for a moment. A zebra in the screen there. My gosh, check out this, folks. That's amazing. We've got eland, oryx, giraffe, all at this one location, and zebra here in Oldonyo, Kenya. My goodness gracious me. Look at this. I'm definitely taking some pictures of this. This is amazing. What a sighting. Got elephant, eland, oryx, zebra, and giraffe. Just really enjoying the sighting to have 5 different species all in the same shot, all at the same time. I must say I am completely losing my marbles here because did not expect to see so much today. It has been absolutely amazing to see what we have today. Isn't this incredible? Five different species all in the same screen. I hope somebody took a screenshot of that or screen recording. I managed to get a photo or two. I'm rather excited. Look at this. What amazes me more that there's so many species in one screen is that these elephant bulls must be really tired or just kind of super chilled. Because yeah, the fact that they're letting so many other species come and drink from this small pan is quite shocking, I must say. Because about 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we were watching this pan, the elephants wouldn't even share the pan with one or two warthogs, let alone a whole bunch of other species. Shame again, these oryx must have walked from quite a distance in order to get here today. Giraffe is also trying to hopefully get a bit of a spot and have a bit of a drink. Oryx are very specially designed antelope and they can go for very long periods at a time without drinking any water. Oh, look at these elephant bulls. They are, living the dream, having the best time. Very, very relaxed, which is always nice. And as they're flapping their ears there, trying to cool themselves down. It's been nice cloudy weather the last couple of days in Aldania. So it's also been pretty nice and sunny, I must say. Not nearly as hot as some of our other locations, but with all the pool parties going on that we've had today, our buffalo pool party and all the elephant pool parties from last week, it definitely is a sign that some of these areas are heating up and winter is possibly coming to an end as August is very quickly approaching. Wow, check out this. Isn't this incredible? We've got two oryx, giraffe, two zebra, bellies, actually a group of elephants. Oh my goodness. And the flies look like they're definitely giving them quite a hard time. And the elephants are standing in the perfect position, just showing off very nicely. Something caught the attention of our giraffe here. I must say, we were talking about it the other day that must be really nice to be a giraffe and being so tall like that that you can always see where everyone is and be like, hey, Steve, Chris, Stanley, how's it going over there? Hey, Steve, is that you there, Steve? Yeah, see giraffe gazing into the distance sometimes, looking to see who's coming, who's going, what's happening. And obviously, with the elephants flapping their ears like that, does signify a warm day here in Tosha. What a day it has been! What a day! And of course, the zebra are giving us their better side. Oh, the eland are still around, hanging around, and maybe the oryx are coming in here. We did have one oryx. I've only seen one oryx here at Aldonia, which was last week. It didn't look like he was in the best condition, but these oryx do look very healthy. And yeah, like I said, they're very specially adapted to live in a dry desert environment and not water dependent at all. They can go for many days without drinking a drop of water. And there's our elephant, of course, chasing away this poor oryx. Oh, bit of politics going on there. Well, folks, thank you to everybody for joining us today. It has been super productive, lots happening. I must say, I've had a really exciting time at the waterhole here today. Just this last 5 minutes has blown my mind. My heart is racing so fast I can't keep up with it. To have 5 species of animals all in one shot is not something you see every day. So thank you for joining us today at Live at the Waterhole. My name is Kerry Dupree, and I will be with you tomorrow. I hope that you will join us on the Sunset Safari today, and I'm looking forward to joining you back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday, everybody, and I hope you have a fabulous week.